Hey guys, today I'll be giving you an update here on Gary's Polymoog here. Finished the restoration on it. As you can see, it's all complete. Did the same things I do to all the Polymoogs. I strip it down, clean the under chassis, rebuild the key bed, redo the interface, work my way up in the circuit boards, replacing commonly failed components, and for the final results, it's a really reliable Polymoog that looks good and it sounds great. Also, Gary, I rebuilt your poly pedal as well. I actually took it home with me last night and cleaned this thing up and stripped it down and cleaned all the contacts, got everything like it needs to be. And I'm just going to give you a walk around here, just kind of give you a good overview of what this thing looks like now. So I've got everything clean. Once again, this is serial number 1679, which makes it the 679th Polymoog made in the 280a format. The 280a, guys, for anybody that's questioning what the 280a is and you hadn't watched some other videos, the 280a is the cut down Polymoog. It was they eliminate a whole lot of the control panel that you have like on the 203a, which is like what's over there. You can see all the extra controls, and this was more of like a preset based unit. It's not really as much of a synthesizer as it is just a preset based unit, but it has the same architecture as a 203a. And just a comparison, there's my 280a setting there versus the 280a. So you can kind of get an idea of the difference in control. So anyways, Gary, I'm just going to put my camera on the tripod here and I'll go through a few of the sounds with you here, show you that everything's working. I will show you, before I do that, let me show you that the poly pedal is actually working. It's better to do that with it on camera. So you got your swell pedal, which is a volume control. So as you can see right now, you won't hear anything. So I bring this pedal up, you can hear the amp. So your volume control, you got your pitch bend, you got something like that. The filter and stuff, in particular on the 280a, there's some things that won't work even in the poly pedal and some of the presets, because there's only two presets that use a filter. The ladder filter, and so if you have it in filter mode, it won't do anything, as you can see, except unless I hit preset 9 or 10, and here you'll hear that it's and do a slight filter sweep with it. You get something like that, and also on preset 10 as well. Any other preset, no effect, because it's not using a filter. It's actually it's just using the fixed filter banks. So that's all working. Your external synth is actually on this particular model working for your glide circuit on off. So when you hit the external synth circuit, it turns the external glide. Like if you have a keyboard interfaced with it, you actually got a glide knob on the back of this unit, unlike the front of the 203a. So just a little something there for you. Let's see, the sustain only works on some presets. As you'll see, preset 2, it already kind of has a sustain. No response. Preset 4 does though, as you can hear. So you get something like that. Also, your trigger mode. If we go back to the filter, this also responds to your filter circuit. So whenever you hit a note, you see it doesn't double trigger. If I hold in this pedal, as you can hear. So it's just a double, it's either a multi or single trigger. And of course you can set it up differently by this knob right here. So now, when I don't hold in the pedal, it'll multi-trigger holding the pedal. So that's one of the functions of the poly pedal there. So anyways, let me put the camera on the tripod and I'll walk you through some of the presets here just to give you a better idea of how this thing sounds. And right now we're actually in the main output, which is actually where it's going through the filters. It's not the direct output, which is the most commonly used output. This one here tends to have a lot of volume differences and presets. just because of the way it's designed in filter banks. So we'll start preset 1, and of course something like that. Strings. Something like that. 3. Something like that. Preset 4. And this is probably my favorite preset through the actual fixed filters. It just has such a nice tone to it. And you also got this little modulation section, which I like to engage on this preset. It gives you a something like that with preset 4, and that's why I like preset 4. Preset 5 is another example of a piano. It's got a little different modulation. You'll also notice, I should mention this, is that your modulation responds differently to some presets. Some of the presets, the modulation works as a frequency source, frequency modulation for your oscillators. Some presets it works as a frequency modulation for just one oscillator. And then in some presets it works as your pulse width modulation control. So it's kind of weird. They kind of took everything, just shrunk it down to make it work as a just a different kind of basic synthesizer in some ways. But as you can hear, preset 5, honky tonk. So you get something like that. Once again, modulation. Here I think is the frequency of one oscillator. It is. So you get something like that. Preset 7. That's harpsichord. Something like that. Harpsichord. So you get something like that. This one here. So you get something like that with the modulation. Preset 9 is the brass, which you've already heard, but to do pitch bends with this. So you get something like that. Of course, that filter sweep again. Two-handed, it sounds really good. That 9 is a pipe organ. And it's the same pedal works for this one. that with preset 11. Preset 12 is another organ. It's a rock organ, which basically is one oscillator set to a fifth, which is kind of it's a lower volume. It's on the Actually, I take that back. It's not a fifth. It's just a footage higher. So that's the pop organ. I'm sorry, the rock organ. Then you got vibes. So that's the vibes preset. You got funk, which is a pretty good preset. So you got this. So you got something like that. And that's all your presets to the fixed filter bank. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch over and we'll go to the direct output. And this is where this thing really comes alive. And that was the only drawback I wish they had done to the 280A, was put a little mixer like they did on the 203A where you could mix the different outputs. So now you'll hear actually a different. Sounds are a lot more brighter now than they were to the filters. So that's 2, preset 3. Preset 4. So you get something like that. Preset 5 is piano. But you can also hear too how those filters kind of correlate to the sound, the tone of the presets, because it doesn't have that kind of electric piano sound anymore like it did through the fixed filters. Preset 6 is the honky tonk. 7. 8. 9 is the breath. And see, now you won't hear the filter. Same thing with 10. 11 is the pop organ. And then you got the rock organ. The vibes. And of course the funk. So you got something like that. And I will show you too that I had to do some repairs to your pitch ribbon. It actually, somebody had taken this thing apart before and they put it back together wrong. So it was just, I had to redo some things that was messed up. But as you can hear, the ribbon works great now. Your tack works. And you can hear the dynamics. Edit this in several ways. There's your modulation. So you get something like that out of it. So that's basically all your presets and your control. Also, you do have the bass filter, which I will show you that right quick. The bass filter, I have to go to the output here. Here might be a little pop. There we go. So the bass filter is kind of like It's kind of like one part of the resonator of the 203A, but it has less control. You've got a gain stage, and then you just got your frequency. You don't have your actual, I'm trying to think what it's called, the emphasis control. So you get something like this. As you can hear, that's your volume, your level control. It might be hard to hear on this camera. But basically, you won't hear this on any of the upper octaves. Your upper octaves are dead right now. And this is where I wish I had that little mixer section, because then what you could do is you can have the bass filter going. You can have this little mixer set up where you can turn up your your direct output or your fixed filters, and then play the bass section with your filter. Instead, what you have to do is we'll go back to the actual fixed filters, because it is actually on the fixed filters. So we'll go here, it's going to be a pop. So when we go back to the main output, you can hear right now. And also, a note too, this volume control here is actually for your main filters, or main output. So as you hear right now, there's no bass effect. We hit this, now your bass is engaged, and now your upper octaves. Tell it right now, but that's shaking my room. Just this bass tone that you can get out of this bass filter. That's your Polymoog, Gary, and I do have the legs for it, but unfortunately I couldn't get any help to get it on the legs today. So it's a two-person job just about to get this thing on its legs. It's quite a lot of work. But anyways, Gary, I hope you're happy with this thing. I'm going to start working on getting everything kind of boxed up and ready to go. You got an ATA case, but I'm going to do some little, some little extra packaging in there just to make sure it makes it safely to you. But anyways, Gary, thanks again for letting me restore your Polymoog here. And guys out there, I really appreciate all you watching my videos as always. And take care.